It's time for Push2Plat, your weekly trophy podcast with Mindi and CJ.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to episode 53 of Push2Plat. I hope you're enjoying your home isolation. If that is where you are, have you discovered any new rooms, any secrets, any bodies in the attic, perhaps? Mindi.
Yes.
How has your week been?
I've been social distancing. I've also taken to someone on Facebook, some of my game friends on Facebook have been passing around this message that's like, while you're in quarantine, make sure that you're writing, handwriting a bunch of diaries and notes and then leave them around the house so that people can come later and piece together what happened.
Is that like if you don't survive or something?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I could just imagine you doing that though, because you'd turn it into like an adventure game type situation or whatever else, And I can see it like day one in the kitchen.
I don't have that many like weird hidden compartments in my apartment. I totally would. I'd be like, put these two innocuous things together and it will like trigger a latch that will open up a wall panel. I don't have wall panels in my apartment, CJ. And it's very cruel of you to tease me with something awesome like that I can't do.
Well, there's always the imagination. See, I can imagine, like day 7, I'm going to tackle the hall, but there's a leprechaun and I need to guess his name before I can move down there. There'll be all these Sierra
My neighbor's
elements.
not that short, and that's a very cruel thing to call him.
Look. Oh, hello. I see you've invited the neighbor in. So maybe there isn't that much social distancing going on.
No, actually, I actually did meet two of my neighbors
Mm.
this week because everyone kind of keeps themselves here. Everyone's on different schedules.
Mm-hmm.
But I was walking in at the same time as this neighbor that I'd met, and I was just kind of talking to him about apartment stuff, and then across the hall, the door opened. He was like, "People!" And these are people my age, which kind of surprised me. Because every other neighbor I've met in this building is older. Not like, grandma, but they are, and so we were all in like a triangle shape in the hallway doing our social distancing, just talking to each other for about 10 minutes. So if I die, you might want to look at those two people.
Everyone's eyeing everyone's stuff off. I like it. Ooh, she's got some good stuff in there. We'll bump her off under the corona illusion. I like it. Yeah. Well, it's funny because the Australian government, in its slow pedestrian acting pace, has maintained that this week. But they've now issued a new decree that you can only gather in groups of 2 in public, which is, it's fantastic, Mindi, because I don't know how many times you've seen a group of 2 in public. I suppose that, well, if you're a family unit, it's okay.
Well, you can't even be a group if you're 2. You'd be a pair.
Yes, yeah. Well, we're looking forward to when it's a group of 1, But the other exciting thing, of course, is that they've now locked up, or they've advised all the people over 70 to stay locked up in their house. And I mean, within the next week or so, they'll probably be advised not to breathe as well. I think, that's the level of maturity we have from the government at the moment.
I gotta say, I know it's gonna bother you, but I think New Zealand has you guys beat on this.
Oh, of course.
Like they had like 4 cases and they locked the hell down. They were like, "Nope, we've seen other countries. We're not gonna go that way."
They have a leader. They have a leader, Mindi. We have a person. It's just having a bit of fun, Unfortunately, it's going to go bad for him. I think in a couple of weeks. At least he's having a go, I suppose. That's all we can say at this point. But the funny thing is, all these people over 70, Mindi, they're locked in their house. These people, I don't know what they do all day. They're retired. They don't do anything. They can do whatever they want. And now that you're reading these stories, like it's only been 2 days, and they're like, oh, I've got nothing to do. I'm so bored. I want to go to the shopping center and just do nothing there, which is what they do, I think, and all this sort of stuff. And I'm just thinking, I would love it. Imagine, I'm sure you're the same, Minnie. Imagine if everything just stopped. There is so many things that I haven't had a chance to do that I could do within the house still. And I was just like, how can you How can you have nothing to do? But I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, CJ, I've been training for this moment for years.
Yes. Yeah,
Years.
yeah. Well, that's what they say, isn't it? The gamers and the nerds or whatever. This is they've been living this life forever, you know. So this is they're acclimatized. I was thinking the other day, they're sort of maybe they'll be like the cockroaches, you know. In like a year's time, they'll emerge from their den and they'll be the only people still around. It'll be like a 28 days later situation, or whatever, just full of people that play Fortnite.
Just squinting into the sun.
Yes, yes, yes. I've been locked in Fortnite for a year, and now I'm ready, ready to play the real Division 2 out on the streets. I don't know.
As long as the internet stays up, like, I think, there's gonna be real problems. You know, it's hard enough getting people to socially distance now in this country
Mm,
or to self-quarantine. I think if the internet goes down, riots.
yes, yes. Well, I wonder that would be the same with Netflix. Even if the internet stayed, but Netflix went or streaming TV went, that could be the end. I feel.
I don't know, Netflix less I mean, it seems like everyone and their mother is watching some Netflix series right now about some dude who had, like, an exotic zoo and, like, maybe his wife killed him and fed him to his tiger, but, like, he's just a weird guy, and it's called, Tiger
Yes.
King?
Have you watched any of this yet?
No, but this guy is I feel like I've read about this guy before because it's not unfamiliar to me, this story,
Mm,
but I haven't watched
mm.
the documentary, or I should say documentary quote, 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 because Netflix tends to I've noticed they tend to pick a side with their documentaries, you know, a lot of them do. My understanding is this one really picked a side and basically said, "This woman is crazy guilty," and, you know, it's likely she is. This dude seemed like an asshole for all intents and purposes,
Mm.
but, you know, it's a weird line with documentaries when they're so obviously skewed for one side or another as opposed to just being like, "Here are the facts." It's a tricky line. I'm not blaming Netflix entirely. I know I've seen a lot of other documentaries that do this.
It's interesting. I don't know anything about it other than that he was there with a line or whatever. And in my ignorance, because at the moment here it's on the splash screen when you put on Netflix, so they're really pushing it or whatever. And I thought, oh, this must be like some sort of an American Steve Irwin ripoff. But from what you're saying, maybe it's nothing like that at all. I thought maybe it was more of a wildlife type thing, but obviously not.
No, as far as I understand, this dude is not like Steve Irwin's a conservationist. Yes, he had a zoo, but
Mm.
he's like properly a conservationist. This dude seems more like it's an ego thing for him. Like, yeah, technically they have a I'm just googling this. They have a cat rescue, but it kind of sounds like maybe his wife is the actual conservationist. Like they run a sanctuary, but it seems like his is more of an ego trip, and he's the one who wants to like kind of pimp out the cats and make money out of them. You know what I mean? I mean, for God's sake, he changed his name to Joe Exotic. That's not his name.
Okay, well, I thought then maybe when I saw the line, I thought, well, maybe he's a trophy hunter. Obviously, not a gamer trophy hunter, a hunter trophy hunter. But obviously, obviously, in my mind, this series has taken on a totally different turn to reality. So perhaps I should check it out. I'm not sure. I'll add it to the list, Minty. The list is getting short, obviously. So why don't we?
I don't know who they're saying. This dude's still alive. He's in jail.
Oh, spoiler.
What are these memes I'm saying where they're like, this woman fed her husband to the tiger? I thought it was him. But no, he hired someone to try to kill her, and now he's in jail
Well, this
for
could
it.
actually be quite good then. I didn't realize it was a crime thing. I quite like the old crime things.
Well, who the hell is the internet saying she killed?
Oh, is this an internet sleuth thing?
Oh, she married a millionaire and then he disappeared.
So this looks like you need to do a bit of hate watching here, Mindy. This would be perfect for hate watching.
I might have to. Oh man, I wasn't gonna watch this, but now I kinda want to. Damn it. Why is it that I didn't watch anything on Netflix for months, and then I canceled my Netflix subscription, and now Netflix is coming out with some stuff I wanna watch. Damn it, Netflix, that's not cool.
So there you go, listeners. Mindy will do anything to avoid her PS3 backlog. And now she's trolling through the back catalogs of Netflix to do it. I love it.
I can do both.
Ooh,
I do possess a PS3 and a laptop. I
ooh.
can, in fact, do both.
Yeah, but a show like this is going to take all your concentration. It would definitely take all of my concentration, I can tell.
I You clearly have not seen a picture of this man because I could not put my full concentration
Oh,
on
it's
him.
very colorful. It would definitely distract me. But look, let's move on. We've got some questions here, Mindy. So last week we did some questions for the first time in ages. So obviously two more people now have sent questions, which is fantastic. Just a reminder, listeners, if you want to send questions, probably the easiest way now, Mindy, is to jump on the Discord, and there's a podcast question section there, so you can just pop it in there. Of course, you could put it on Twitter if you like, but this works well. Either way is fine, listeners. You can do whatever you like. So, but anyway, we've got the
Or email.
or email. Yes, you could. But look, I'm leading to the Discord because then you get to see other people's questions. You get to share. It's a very it's a very thorough experience, and it's also easy for us. So anyway, we have the first question comes from Zuche. Sorry, Zuche. What was one game that you were looking
Let's
forward
just
to?
call him Bob.
Oh yes, yes. John Smith has submitted. No, look, sorry, Zoot J. I'm gonna go with the name Zoot J from now on. Now, if that annoys you, or that's a problem, please reach out to me and tell me what you'd like to say there. If it's Bob, totally fine. So anyway, what was one game that you were looking forward to that ultimately disappointed you? Now, do you want to think about this a bit more, Mindy, while I go, or do you have something there?
You go ahead, because I don't have a. You guys are asking questions I don't have immediate answers for, and it's annoying me.
They're making us think. It's good.
Not really. Please keep sending questions. I like answering
Yeah,
questions. I just
yeah, yeah. It's
it's
good.
it's thrown me that we've had 2 weeks that I don't have an immediate, like, crystallized answer in my mind.
Mm, mm, Well, they're proper questions, so they demand a proper answer, I think. So I'll stumble along and see what I can do. So two games that ultimately disappointed you. Probably the biggest game, Zujay, that has disappointed me. And this is a game that I pre-ordered digitally, which I don't really do a lot of. Like I get a lot of games, but I very rarely, bother to pre-order. I usually wait and just see. At least till it's been on the store for an hour or two. But this one I was looking forward to it. And I know I'm not in the minority. I was definitely caught up in the hype. And this, of course, is the No Man's Sky. So I was very excited. Very rarely when I pre order a game do I actually wait till midnight here in Australia for it to unlock. But I did with this game, and I played it for maybe 2 hours, and it was just garbage. And now I understand, it's changed. Obviously, it's developed or whatever. But your question was ultimately disappointed you. So that game for me, I thought it was going to be amazing. And then I loaded into, I don't know if you've played this game or not, Mindy, but I loaded into the game, and it was just there was no prompts. I just didn't know what I was doing. It was just this ship, and I understand it's an exploration style game, but the colors, it was not what I expected at all. So I think the overhype of that game got me. Probably my own fault. Many other people I feel too. And then the other one, look, it's a similar situation. So it's good to see, Mindy, that I don't learn. And this was the Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So I did pre-order this one, and the irony is I pre-ordered it physically, and I got the deluxe edition that had all the season pass and all the extra content because I was getting into Vision 2 at the time, and I was really enjoying it. And I was like, they've really hit their stride in these games. And I did play Wildlands, admittedly later, and I thought it was great. There was a ton of content, and everything was awesome. And I thought, this game's going to be awesome. And so I did that. And then I played it, and I think I got to like the third mission. And if you played this game, you'll know that it's not a great game to be playing by yourself, because if you're going to play it by yourself and not in co-op, it almost becomes a stealth game, because if you trigger the bases, it just becomes carnage. Whereas if you had four other people, maybe you could handle that carnage, but it doesn't really seem like the enemies are lessened or scaled, if you like, to the number. So it becomes very difficult with one. But it's a side point. So I went into this base and I stealthed it through, down to one guy on the far side. I was going to get through it, and then I fell down between a tree and the wall, Mindy, and I got stuck there. And I just didn't get stuck there like, I'll reset the game. Every time I loaded in, I was still stuck in that one position. And I then had to wait, like, I think it was 2 weeks for a patch or something they put through, because I probably wasn't the only one stuck in the tree wall situation. So that really that really disappointed me. In fact, I have not been back to the game since then. Again, I know it's been improved, but it's hard to overcome that, Mindy, when you're stuck in the tree. When you've been looking forward to moving forward. Do you have something?
I do. I do have something. And I wanna
Mhm,
preface this by saying I don't hate this game. I was
mhm.
very disappointed in it because it could have been fantastic, and I wanna see if you get this. It's a PS4 game.
Mhm.
I don't think it was a launch game, but it was pretty close.
Mm.
It's one of the first games they offered up on PlayStation Plus, as I recall, but that's not when I played it.
So it's an indie game, most likely, if it was early PS Plus. Uh,
It is not an indie game.
oh, so it's a major game.
That's one of the reasons it's such a disappointment is it was not an indie game.
Is it a Lego
It's
game?
not a Lego game.
So I was thinking of the superheroes or Marvel superheroes, although I think that was a launch title. So I don't
I don't know, go back
know.
to the quiz.
Is this a PS3 game that was ported to PS4?
No, it was not.
Ah, so it's not Assassin's Creed then.
No.
Okay.
But you're going in the right direction. It's not an Assassin's Creed game, but it could very, very easily kind of fit in that kind of gameplay and feeling.
Oh, it's not that poor man's Assassin Creed ripoff. What do they call it? Uncharted or something? I can't remember.
It is not Uncharted.
Oh, it's not that one. Oh, okay. Look, I'm not sure. It's open world then, is it? Mhm.
Nah, not really. It's third person action adventure,
Yes.
more or less on rails, which is the first problem. It's the Order 1886.
Oh, yes. I think
Yeah,
I
remember
blocked
that
that
one?
from my memory. Yes. Well, now, tell me about this. So it disappointed you or it didn't?
It disappointed me.
Like,
This game checked all of my boxes. It's 19th century steampunk London. It's alternate history, which is Assassin's Creed. It's like an order of people who are fighting against vampires and werewolves and government conspiracies. Like all the makings of a great game, at least in my book, right? And it was gorgeous. It is a gorgeous game. Like if you look at it, it's
and it
gorgeous.
goes for about an hour.
But it's basically a $60 movie. Granted, I played this game once, and I played it back in 2015,
Mm. Mhm.
which is when it came out, and I would say, yeah, it's probably 3/4 cutscenes. Of the gameplay, probably 2/3 of it is QTEs. There is some cover-based shooting, but more often than not, it's just QTEs,
Mhm.
and, which is sad. Like, I did follow this game, and I kind of followed the development. It looked great, and I was like, "Yes, I'm in." And, it was I don't hate it, I'm just very disappointed in this game because I think it could have been really great.
Did you plat the game? Like, I assume you did.
I did, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was. I am right in thinking it was about a 6 or 7 hour plat. Is that right? It was very short, wasn't it?
It was very short because I think you just had to play it and find collectibles, basically.
Yeah.
I'm just looking it up on my trophy card right now. I did it in 20 hours, but obviously that wasn't a one sitting, I did it over a couple of sittings. Yeah, probably 6 to 10 hours, not long.
I mean, I can't remember the story at all now, but I do remember at the time quite enjoying it. I think maybe again because I don't mind those sort of games, and I didn't. I'm quite happy with that length. But I'm just trying to. Now, even thinking back, I remember there might have been a few annoying sections, maybe towards the latter end of the game. They're almost like stealthy sections or something where you had the guards walking around, and you had to sort of. There was an outdoor section I remember, and that was a little annoying at night.
There's one firefight that's you're in like a tomb. You're in like a small room and it opens up into, it goes out into this big open room and you're just going to die if you do that. So it's actually a better strategy to stay in that room longer than you think you should
Hmm.
and kill people, which is not fun. And then you're in a dirigible at some point and like it could have been so much better.
It was very beautiful, though. I do remember that.
And there's, like, 2 werewolves in it. Like, the whole thing is about how the
True.
werewolves are rising and they're a big thing. And there's like 2 werewolves. I'm like, "Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Really?"
Yeah. It's funny though, that's the sort of game that I think, like, with enough time, like, in the back of my mind when you were talking about it, I was like, "Well, if there was another stack of that, I'd probably play it now." But then it could be the situation where you start it and then you're like, "No, no, I don't wanna play this again." But it's just interesting. I had completely blocked that game out of my mind. So that's fascinating.
I think a lot of people did. But it could have been so great, It's just disappointed.
So we also have a second question here from Boston George, and he says, what is a game you were told would be disappointing that you ended up enjoying?" So would you like to go first here, Mindy?
I have an answer for this, and you know my answer to this.
Do I? Okay.
You do know my answer to this because I've talked about this game before.
Oh, well, this is not going to be Life is Strange, is it?
It is not. Although, Life is Strange 2 could have been my answer to that other question, but it just would have made you angry.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, that's what I was thinking. Sorry, yes, I know that you didn't really it did disappoint you. So, now this is something that would have disappointed you. Well, you thought would disappoint you, but ended up enjoying you. You ended up enjoying it. Sorry.
Right.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Do you enjoy any games you play?
I do.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it must be nice. You should tell me what that's like sometime. But look, I don't know. I don't know. What did you is this something you played recently?
No.
Oh. Well, I know it's not Final Fantasy 14.
It is not. I have talked about it several times on the podcast. What else can I say? It is on PS3.
Ugh, that's dead to me.
It is very reminiscent of a certain TV show, and that's why they had to make alterations to it.
Oh, this I know. Okay, so Twin Peaks game. Is that what this TV show is called? Uh,
Twin Peaks.
yeah, so that's the game for that, which is called it has a Japanese version which has another name as well. I know that. A different
So
name.
the Japanese version is called Red Seeds
Yes, that's not gonna
Profile.
help me because it's nothing like the name of this game. I know that too. I don't know. It's a game that I blocked. I looked briefly at the guide and blocked it out of my mind, and I thought maybe you'd done the same because you still haven't gone back and finished it, to be honest with you. Ah, it feels like a Days of Our Lives game.
I talked about this game in
I
our,
know what it is.
Hidden Gems episode, I
I
believe.
just can't remember what it's called, but I know what it is.
Deadly
That's
Premonition.
right, yes. The name doesn't seem right for the content. I don't know. Everything I imagine about that game, and then hearing the name Deadly Premonition, it sounds very sinister. I don't know.
Well, it kind of fits. Red Seeds Profile, I think, is a better name. It better explains it ties in more to the mystery of the game. But at the same time, it is an awkward name, so I kind of understand I don't like that they changed it, but I kind of understand why they did it.
So why did you think you were gonna be disappointed by it?
Well, because it's one of those games that I meant it when I said it is an incredibly polarizing game. You either love this game or you hate this game. And
Mhm.
there's no one who just says, "Yeah, it was alright," it was okay. And I worked for GameStop for several years, and at the time, it was not on PS3, it was only on Xbox 360, and it's a budget game, and I had just picked up an Xbox, a secondhand Xbox, 360, and I was looking for a couple of games that were not on PS3, which was still my choice console, and my co like, all every one of my coworkers was an Xbox player except for me, and I think that's why they kept me around is because I knew the other systems. And so they made a couple recommendations, and I picked up Alan Wake, and I picked up, Deadly I was like, "I've never seen this one." And every single one of my coworkers was like, "No, it's awful, it's terrible." I was like, "It's like $4." And, they're like, "No, it's" and they kinda described the story, I was like, "That sounds like Twin Peaks." Like, that sounds fun, right? But everyone told me it was going to be awful, and I loved it. I can't claim it's good from a gameplay perspective, it's awful. I've said this before, this is a broken game, but it's got charm and it has a story and there is something very scrappy and likable about it, and I just love it.
They're all valid reasons.
And also my another blanket answer to this is gonna be FMV games because 'cause they're all terrible, but I love them.
Oh, that that is so true. Yeah, I think that maybe that category has to win this question. That is so true. I like it. So look, George, what can I throw out? Well, I suppose. Look, I'm gonna stick with the PS3. Because Mindy opened the door there, and I think I have two that I was told would be disappointing. So this was early on in the trophy whoring days. The game, has quite a reputation about it. Many people have said that it's garbage, that it's embarrassing. You should be ashamed to play games like this. But look, I'm going to be honest. I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic to get up to a bit of dancing, have a bit of a sing, try and tie the short hair back in a ponytail. And of course, Mindy, I'm referring to the classic hit here, Hannah Montana, which I thought was fantastic. I don't know, have you played Hannah Montana yet, Mindy?
I have not.
That's a travesty. When are you going to rectify that? It's shocking. It's a staple of the system.
CJ, I have real games I still need to play that I'm not playing. Come on.
This is a real game. It has a story. It has charm. Some people think it's flawed. I don't. It even lets you use the move controllers. I mean, why not? It's fantastic. And there's always one bullshit element in every game, but you know that as well, listeners. And that this happens to be the sort of, I think it's not a juggling game. It's like we got to throw the ping pong balls at the metal containers and knock them over in the carnival. So that's a little annoying, but other than that, the game is fantastic. So I think that's great. And then it's a toss up for me, Mindy. The second one here, I'd probably say either Mega Man or Ice Age 3, but I'd probably lean with Ice Age 3 because I was pretty convinced that the Ice Age series was only for children. Which is understandable, I think. But when you play that game, Mindy, and I assume you probably haven't played this either, Ice Age 3, because you have real games to play.
Wait, I'm sorry, back up. You've played a Mega Man game?
Well, isn't it? Oh, it's not. What's that one on PS3? Is it not Mega Man? The child's game. Well, the childlike game, I suppose. What's that guy called? If he's not called Mega Man,
I what?
I think you've done it. It's not Mega Man then. It's that other guy, Mega Mind. Is that
Mega
what it was called?
Mind. Very, very different, CJ.
No, it's the same thing. They're basically the same thing. Maybe this is the enjoyable version of Mega Man. I don't know, but look, it was kind of fun.
It's very much not. Listeners, he is telling you lies.
It's enjoyable. Did you not enjoy that disco boss where you dance and you have to run on the colors and things, or you can cheese it and run around the side? Did you not enjoy that?
It was fine when I realized I could cheese it.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But this is what I said. That probably comes in third. As I said, I'd probably have to put Ice Age 3 in second because it had so many fun mini games, egg roll challenges, it had races and everything else. And look, Ice Age 4, it doesn't quite make the list, I suppose, because it just didn't have as much. But yeah, they're games that I think everyone gives a shitty. And we had a bit of a joke there, but seriously, the Ice Age games are games that people do give a shitty rap to. I think, Mindy, and the animation is really, particularly in 4, it's really top quality. And yes, they're a platformer, and yes, they're not difficult or whatever, but they are fully fledged sort of games. So I don't think they're again, maybe you don't want to pay full price for them, but they're fun times or whatever. And if you're playing them with a child, because most of them are co-op games as well, I think they're great, but they're no brain fun as well, and very beautiful no brain fun. So I think I was told they would always be disappointing, but I ended up enjoying them. So look, I don't imagine that surprises you, listeners, that I enjoyed it, but it is what it is, Mindy. Have I convinced
You're
you?
so cute sometimes.
They're great games. Why would you not want to play like a little raccoon or something? It's fun. But look, anyway, why don't we move across to what the real games that you have been playing this week, Mindy? What have you been up to?
Now, see, you say it like that, and I really haven't played real games. I haven't played much this week. My family problems are have passed, so thankfully you guys won't hear me complaining about that anymore. But I didn't have a lot of time this week. I did play mostly for a PlayStation for a PST site event. I played Epic Word Search Collection, which is a trick of a game. This is like a Trojan horse of a game because this is by the Paugi people, but you wouldn't know it because it's not branded by Paugi, and it's actually you look at the trophy list, you're like, oh, this looks like a Paugi list because it's easy and it's just do certain parts of each puzzle, but all of the branding of it is not Paugi, which is interesting. But I also played Mekorama, which is the what do you call it? The Rataplata.
Well, just before you go on to that, this epic word search, because there is the option there where you can just use the hint to get the starts of the words. Did you just do that, or did you sort of try it legit?
Both, which is why it took me 9 hours to do it. Well, it's one of those things that because it's a big canvas, you have to constantly scroll around to look, and sometimes, words go across
Mhm.
different canvases. What I like about this and what I thought was a good idea was that it's let's call each grid, I don't know, 15 by 15, like each block of letters. they're different colors. And so what they'll do is they'll have the word list
Hmm.
in the color of the grid that it's in. So it's not like you have a word list of, because I think the epic puzzles and you have to solve one of them or a segment of one of them in each category. There's 4 categories. You scroll through and there's
Hmm.
like 100 words, I think. But whatever part of the screen you're on, the word bank will change to reflect the word that you can actually find, at least starting on the screen that you're on. So when you move it a couple of rows, some words will disappear, some words will get added. When you get to the boundary between two, let's say 15 by 15 grids, and the color changes, your word bank might have 2 different colors in it because one of the words is only in like the red grid and one is only in the blue grid. So the way they set this up is actually pretty smart. But if you were doing the whole thing legit, it would take you not as long as you think because, again, you don't need to solve an entire one of these epic puzzles. You do have to solve again, let's say 15 by 15 grid in each of the 4 categories. And then after that, it's just jumping around to different parts of the grid and finding the word. And it would be a nightmare if you couldn't, they didn't section off these grids and call it a theme. So if you go to the, like, let's call it the stage select menu for, let's say, the animal word search, right? Because
Mm.
there's one that's food and there's one that's travel, there's one that's animals and there's one that's sports. So let's say the animals one. And so the first grid is all about cats. So it's just different species of cats
Hmm.
and verbs that relate to cats. But then a different grid will be just dogs. And so if you go to the stage select and there's a trophy that says find this specific word, you look at, and it helps with the trophy guide, obviously. You go to each, 15 by 15 grid and scroll around and see, does that word pop up? Oh, it doesn't. I'm in the wrong section. And then go to the next. So it's not as difficult as it could have been.
I think you're right. Once you get into it, it's a bit overwhelming to start. I see you did it on PS4. What I like about these games, these word games, is playing them on Vita because of the touchscreen. So I assume this will be similar to the others that you can drag your finger on it. I hope so.
I assume
We'll
so,
find
yeah.
out. Yeah, and that is a cross buy, isn't it, or not?
I believe so.
Good. Okay.
I never check these things anymore, and I really should.
Yeah, I believe it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Sorry. What was next?
Oh, what did I say? Rataplata is
Mm.
Mekorama, which is, it's not bad. There's a little charm to it. It's mostly the little robot guy that you control. He's really cute, but it is a 3D puzzler. Remember remember CJ, where the bees make honey?
Yes.
And
Mm. Great
I'm
game.
not comparing this game to that at all. The
Yeah.
only thing I'm comparing is, those segments where you had to find the little honeycombs
Yeah.
and you had to rotate the stage around and sometimes you had to, figure out ways to make the character traverse to open up new pathways.
Yes. Yes.
That's this game, except very competently programmed and a little more difficult than I was expecting. Some of the medium, because you only have to play half this game for the platinum. You have to play the easy levels and the medium levels. And then later on, there's the hard and the tricky levels, but you don't have to touch those. But some of the medium levels are actually kind of tricky. So I kind of am wondering what the tricky levels would be. I think it's worth playing. I think it's worth a pickup. I got this mostly on my own. There were a few levels that I looked up a video. Thankfully, not. There are a couple of puzzles that come down to timing, which is unfortunate, but the majority of them you can't really mess it up.
I have a question then about this. Is this the sort of game, like obviously the time limit runs out, you fail or whatever, but is this the sort of game where you can like fall off the edge or something like that and so you have to restart constantly, or is it
Yes,
not like that? Yeah, I see.
you can fall off the edge. My biggest gripe for this game, and it's purely a porting thing, is when you fall off the ledge, there's no automatic reset. So there are a couple of stages where your little robot dude can die because there's like either like lightning pads or like little robots made of lightning walking around that can shock him and kill him. But at that point, the stage does not automatically reset itself. You just sit there and you have to manually reset it. The second one is there's no button that can reset the stage. You have to press pause and reset it, and this sounds like such a minor gripe, and it is, but there's one stage in particular that's very, very, very short, but timing is everything, and it was really annoying, and it took me probably about 20 minutes to do. So and it's, if you fail it, you're failing it almost immediately. So if you imagine, almost immediately failing and then pressing pause and restart, and then almost failing almost immediately, it gets very annoying. Let's put it that way.
It sounds like it.
But that was one stage, and there's a trophy for that stage, and it's level 35, and it's awful. And if you look at the trophy list, you'll see that's where like a sharp decline in people who have unlocked trophies for this game. That's where the really sharp decline is. That's a bad level. Most of the levels are really, really well designed. There's one that's really annoying because you're in like a castle. They've made it to look like a castle, but the problem is your robot's really short and you have to navigate through this. You can't see it. You can't see this area you're trying to navigate. And so you're clicking and you don't know if you're making a click and he doesn't go because he can't go. And that's not part of the puzzle. The part of the puzzle is just navigating walls so he can get through. But the problem is you can't see straight down. So you can't see if he has moved the way you want him to.
That's always the problem with these 3D games that I find.
Yeah. And that can be annoying, but generally I do still recommend this game. I do. I would hesitate to call this spam. I would definitely call this spam with guide. Even if you're not with your guide, it wouldn't take too terribly long. But this isn't that kind of stable of roguelike games where you need to have some effort put into it.
I have two questions here. I'm just looking at the trophy list, and a lot of the trophies here are for completing certain levels. So with these first levels, 1, 7, 14, 13, 17, complete level 4 or whatever,
Mhm.
is it a trophy for every level? And like, is that then all the easy levels, or do you actually have to do some levels as well that aren't individual trophies?
Well, if you look, the trophy list is in a weird order because it goes 1, 7, 14, 13, 17,
Yes.
4.
I just noticed that.
But then under
Yeah.
that is complete all easy levels, and then one of the other ones is complete all medium levels. So there are trophy specific levels, but you do still have to do all of the levels in the easy and all the levels in medium. There's 50 levels you need to play in this.
And then the second question is, I see you did this on PS4, so I know you haven't played it on Vita yet, but from taking what you did, how do you think this is going to play on Vita? Do you think it might be better on PS4 then, with what you've said, with some of those issues? Or, I mean, are you going to try it on Vita?
For me, this comes down to the scaling of everything.
Hmm.
So one of my problems with did you ever play The Bridge?
No, I have not played that.
That's another 3D puzzle game. I actually really liked it. It all looks hand drawn. It's very heavily inspired by MC Escher.
Hmm.
The guy who does those impossible figure
Hmm.
drawings.
Hmm.
They made an entire puzzle game around that. I
Okay.
started out playing that game on the Vita, right? Because this is the kind of game I would want to play on my Vita.
Yes.
But the problem is that when the stages get bigger and you can't see what you're doing because all you're seeing is the overview of the stage and you can't see your character anymore, really, or you can't see the little
Hmm.
nitty gritties you need to move to make the puzzle work. What I did
Hmm.
notice in this game is you can zoom in and out of the puzzle with one of the thumbsticks. If you can do that on the Vita, I think this is very manageable on the Vita. But I also think it depends on the initial scaling of the puzzle on the Vita screen. Because if you actually play this game, the actual area of the screen that the puzzle takes up is like a third of the screen. It's all white empty space, top, bottom,
Okay.
left, right, and then the puzzle's in the center. If they scaled it to make the puzzle bigger and have less white space, I think yeah, it could be very manageable on the Vita without having to zoom in. Otherwise, I think the zooming in would be probably necessary on the Vita.
Mm, okay. Okay. I think PS4 might be my choice here then, by the sound of it.
I think PS4 is a better call for this one.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. And Nick?
And the last thing I did this week was I finished Lego DC Supervillains, got the platinum and the all the DLC.
Congratulations. Another one ticked off for
Thank
you.
you. That is correct. 2 more stacks of that game to go.
Have you decided which the next Lego thing is? Or because you have more than just the 2 stacks of that, don't you? There's a few others.
So what I have to do is I have 1 trophy I have to get on Lego Indiana Jones 2, which is bugging me, which is
Mm,
that times trophy. I have to do
mhm,
both Lego Harry Potter games on the PS4
mm.
and the 2 other Lego DC stacks, and that's it.
Well, I was gonna say the finishing line is near, but it's really not at all. It's
No,
fine.
because the Star Wars game's coming out, so I gotta do that one too.
Yes. It's a matter of clawing your way forward while stepping backwards at the same time. I like it. It's good. It's good. So what can I share, listeners? Well, look, I'm going to start with this Twin Breaker, a Sacred Symbols adventure. Look, it's fine. It's quite good. I'm just having a look here. It is cross buy on the PS4 and Vita. There are two stacks there, 2 separate lists, and it is also NA and EU stacks as well. So Midi, it's coming in. It's not the price of a Rata game. It is published by East Asia Soft though. It's probably. I mean, it's probably. I'm thinking the $5 US. So it's a little bit over double the price of a lot of the spam games. So look, I don't know. I that's interesting pricing, I suppose. But that's what it is, listeners. It does play like a spam game of sorts, although it's longer. In fact, there's a funny story, Mindy. I reached out as a joke to the people that are handling the PR company for this last week, and I knew none of us would have probably time to play it anyway, and they had a really strict curfew on you had to play it straight away. And I just said, well, we could probably do it, but I feel this is going to be a spam game or whatever else. And, we'd love to cover it because, we do spam games. And I got an email back saying, this is not a spam game. And that was all I got. So obviously they feel that it's not a spam game. You make
CJ, CJ, are you purposely sabotaging
no, no,
the efforts we make to get review
not at all.
codes?
I said that the majority of people that buy this game will be trophy hunters, which I think is very fair because if you're not across this game, obviously it's come through Colin Moriarty from the Sacred Symbols podcast, and that podcast appeals hugely to trophy hunters. So I think it's a valid point. I think what's interesting about this game is that it doesn't play to the spam hunter though, in that it's not a 1 hour plat in Mindy at all. In fact, there's a new game plus that you have to beat on this, so you have to play it twice anyway. So I think even if you're speeding through, it's still going to be 6 to 8 hours. So there's plenty to do here, and he has look, full credit. They have fleshed it out. Like there's a ton of different modes, each which you've got to play for a trophy, but you can just load in or load out, but you can play them. But the base game, you do have to play. There's 40 levels, and as I said, you have to play it twice. Each level has sort of 2 collectibles. So one's based on, like a mid-high score and then a top high score. So there's replayability in that as well. And I think the gameplay is really like I really enjoy it. Now I know I'm not sure if you like Brick Breakers or not, Mindy. I'm not a big fan of the bricks games. I find them a little bit difficult. So don't I think they're fine for what they are, but they're difficult. I find this one's a lot easier. So it's a little bit different. I mean, this one gets a bit more advanced too because you don't always just have the 2 paddles. Sometimes you have 4 paddles as well on like each of the sides. So it gets or 2 on the bottom and 1 on the left and right, and you're controlling them all at the same time. So that gets a little bit more complicated. And I imagine getting the high score that you would require to unlock the collectible for the trophy is probably challenging on those levels. But if you're just trying to play it to beat the levels and move on with the story, it's not difficult at all. I think you could probably do it in a couple of hours. There is a lot of text in this. It doesn't appeal to me, but then it's a little bit too sci-fi for me. I think I was expecting it maybe to be a little bit more funny, but it's actually quite serious. I think. Well, it's not a
So it's a brick breaker game with a story.
yeah, yeah. So they're sort of. I mean, I wouldn't say they're cutscenes because they're static images with text or whatever else, largely in between. So in a way, it's like a visual novel, I suppose. And there is a lot of text. It's not just like a little bit and then the next level. There's quite a bit, and then it does have boss fights as well. I think I think it's the end of every 5 levels or 10 levels or something. There's a boss fight where you're doing the same thing, but you have to hit the ball into the boss while there's things going on with the paddles and stuff. There's pickups and stuff. So look, it's quite good. I don't know. I'm sure there'll be people that will stack this 4 times, but that would be quite a commitment. And of course, it does come with a skip for the text. So if you read it once or you're not that interested, you could skip it. But like, I don't know. It's an interesting premise for me. I didn't think I was hoping the story would be a little bit better than it was, or maybe funnier or something. But I'm sure it's got plenty of value for some people. But that being said, the gameplay I thought was super fun. So even if you just play it for the gameplay, I think it's good. And if you're not a brick breaker player, this is definitely manageable. As I said, if you bounced off bounced off the bricks games in the past, I suppose. And then I'll throw out Death Stranding only because Mindy is convinced that I'm not actually playing it. That maybe it's just playing itself. I suppose that is not the case.
I don't think I'm the only person convinced that you're not playing
Well,
this game.
somehow the game has managed to get to chapter 6, so somebody's doing a good job. I don't know. It must be me. And look, I can tell you that some of these chapters are long, very long. Like I thought chapter 2 was long, and then I hit chapter 3 and was like, "Whoa, this is really long." But then chapter 4 is like over in 20 minutes, which is I was not expecting. So it seems like the chapters.
You've never played a Hideo Kojima game, have
No,
you?
no, no. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's common, is it for him?
Mm, kinda. I mean, this is the guy who had, like, an hour-long cutscene at the end of Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, the funny thing was it wasn't too short, the 20 minutes. Like each chapter it's sort of the more I get into it, the more I can see the structure behind it. Because when you start, they're so hard to grasp a structure. And if you come from playing like a JRPG or an open world UB type game, you know the structure going in. And like regardless of what you say, listeners, you like new experiences, you like that core structure that in a big open world game, you like to understand how it works a bit from the start so you know what's going on, otherwise there's too much happening. And in this game, you just get thrown in and it's just so much that you don't really understand. And I'm not even talking the story, just like how to use the different things. And it's not really explained, but then that's the point of it. I think as you go on, it explains it more as you go. But a lot of this game relies on you reading the in-game emails. So you're constantly getting emails from just random people in the game, not real people, like NPC people. And if you don't read those, it's hard to know what some of the functions are. And then I noticed I think it was chapter 5 that I just did. If you hadn't have been reading the text closely and realized that an email had come in previously, that it actually tells you what to do next. You wouldn't even know where to go. And in fact, that was also the case in episode 3, from now thinking about it. So it relies on you really, not playing the game passively, despite the game being
so it's
hugely
it's the
passive.
game where it actively, like, punishes you if you're not reading, like, the flavor text.
Yeah, well, I hit a wall in chapter 3, and I won't say what happened because it's a good story narrative, but I just couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, and I tried a lot of different things, and I'd read most of the emails, and so I actually had to look up like a little walkthrough of that chapter, and it's right at the end, and it's like, oh, you've got to read this specific email, otherwise you'd have no idea. And I was like, oh, and I'd missed that one or something, and yeah, as I said, you wouldn't have figured that out without that email. I don't think. I mean, maybe trial and error, but it would have been a lot of trial and error, I think, or lateral thinking. So yeah, there is, and I mean, some of it's tied up in triggering cutscenes as well. So I think that's different. Like in most of these open world games we play, the cutscene will trigger after a mission, but sometimes the cutscenes trigger when you go to the safe house, if you like. So it's a game where you don't have to go to the safe house. You can just keep going outside if you want for ages. But if you don't, you won't trigger that cutscene, but you can further other parts of the game. So it's all tied up in on itself, I think. But having said that, each chapter or episode is based on a different character. So that's interesting. That's your story narrative, but you can also play the rest of the game around it, I suppose. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I said the week or two before, Mindy, that there's a danger I think I'm going to enjoy this game, and I think I may be at that point. Like I don't know. There's a lot of frustration in this. Well,
Betrayal.
I say that, and then last night. Well, I
Betrayal.
say that, but then last night I finished chapter 5, and like this chapter was just monotonous garbage. Like it required you, again, no spoilers, but required you to traverse over this massive snow mountain, which took ages anyway to do. And of course, you fall over because it's too steep, and it's just all this garbage. And then you finally get to where you've got to go, which is way on the other side of the map. You get this little thing happens, and then you've got to go all the way back again. And there's no fast travel. You actually have to do it. So you're going back over. And I was just like, this is getting a bit much for me. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't
Do you
happen
think
again.
Hideo Kojima is trolling people?
Well, we had this discussion in the Discord the other day with Mr. Scottish Noob, the Patreon producer that forced this travesty upon me. And the funny thing is that one of the side missions, because there's like side missions everywhere or side deliveries, is delivering pizzas across the map. And like it's just absurd. Like you've got all this shit going on in the story and valid stuff. And then all of a sudden you've got 30 minutes, which is, it's tons of time, 30 in real time, 30 minutes to deliver the pizza, but it means you sort of got to stop what you're doing because you got to do that. And it's just, I don't know, like it's just stupid. Like you're not going to deliver a pizza like 1,000 kilometers across mountains, are you, in 30 minutes?
That'd be a cold
Yeah,
pizza.
well, but it's got to be there before it's cold. And like, it's just, I don't know. So it's interesting. What I think would be really interesting with this game, I think the gameplay is probably too much for a lot of people because having said that, there's a lot of shit you just boring random shit you have to do to level up to get, to these points. I think this as a movie would be really interesting. It'd probably like or in parts if they took all the cutscenes and put it in, I think it would be a valid story. It would hold up, but I just think all this crap, like I don't know, you don't seem too keen on playing it, Mindy, and I think all the crap around
Nope.
the sides I feel the same way. Like that stuff is very relaxing. I'll give it that. Like I'm quite enjoying it. And it's addictive too because you're like, oh well, I'll take that delivery and I'll go there, and I'm going that way, so I'll go a bit that way as well, and I'll go that way, and that stuff's cool. But but then every now and then you get attacked by these giant things that just I don't understand yet because it's really unclear where they're coming from or what's going on. So it's just I don't know. It's interesting, but look, I don't want to crap on it, obviously. But the only other fault of the game that I'm finding is it has an amazing soundtrack, really amazing, and you unlock songs as rewards for doing deliveries and missions and stuff. And so you build up this great library of songs, and the only way you can trigger the songs is to actually go to the safe room and listen to them while you're in there. Otherwise, the songs only trigger in certain areas. So for a large
Oh, like sorry, you mean like licensed
license,
soundtrack.
yeah, yeah. So for large portions
Okay.
of the game, like when I was traversing this mountain, and I mean this took a good 30 minutes, so over an hour to go both ways. I didn't get any music at all, which is I just thought was obnoxious. Like, the sound effects were good, but I would have loved some music. And I was trying to make it play music, and I was just like, it just didn't want to. So my understanding is you have to be in certain areas in the game, so the music is matched to the actual landscape.
That kind of gets into the annoying area of realism for me, like I talked about with Red Dead Redemption 2,
Yeah.
where at some point you got to remember, have your big epic realistic thing, but at some point you do need to remember this is a video game. So like while it is realistic that you're alone with yourself and no music, even though I can't imagine that he wouldn't have like an iPod,
He's got everything else.
right? Remember that it's a video game. Players don't want to be slogging in, real time whatever across a mountain with no music.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think one thing I was thinking about last night was whether maybe you can mainline the story because the way the leveling sort of works, it does improve you, but it's not like an RPG where you're going to run into a boss where you're just not going to be able to beat it because you're not strong enough. So the leveling doesn't necessarily help you in that aspect. Well, at least not here. And I think I'm halfway through the story now or something or close to. So I wonder if you mainline the story and you just choose not to engage with this other stuff. But then the other thing I don't really understand are the other people in the game. So I know it's a social experience. Now, you can't actually see the other people. So it's not an MMO where you can see other people doing their things, real life people. But every now and then down the bottom of the screen will be like, this player did this or whatever. So that will flash up, but you can't actually see it. And you've got all these shared projects. But what I don't understand is like, the roads are the major shared project. So, I want the roads to be built because it'll make the game bloody quicker. But it takes a huge amount of resources to build the roads, way more than I could do. Like it would take forever. But then I'm not sure, like I don't really feel like contributing to wasting my resources building the road because it'll build for everyone, I think, if nobody else is going to do it as well. Does that make sense? So now I'm like, I check it and nobody's done anything. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to put my resources here if you're not going to do it. So I think we're in a standoff. Nobody nobody wants to commit to building the road. And so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's probably a me problem, but I find that social thing. I mean, it's interesting for gamers because gamers are very much like, oh, this is my shit. I mine this, gold. This is my gold now, and putting it into these communal projects. Why should they? And therefore, if they're not, why should I? So we all suffer as a result, I think. But look, I'm enjoying it, and I look forward to playing more. And touch base. I'm hoping to finish it this month. I'm still not sure how long the post game is going to be. I'm fearful that it could be very long, but we'll see. Yeah. Yeah. So I haven't convinced you then, Mindy, to try it.
Nope. No way.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Okay, well, let's see. Maybe we can find something to convince the listeners on this week with some new releases.
Oh wait, no, actually, no. There's one game, and actually
Yes.
no, because this is a new release. So I'll ask you about it then, because I do want to talk to you about it.
Would you like to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with, where is it? The Casebook of Arcady Smith. This sounds straight up my alley. It's a an open world investigation adventure game. This sounds really, really interesting. And, it's not going to be, MMO open world, but it sounds a little bit like, oh, let's say, what was that game? Well, I guess it's not. I was going to say Murdered Soul Suspect, but all those different cases were collectibles. They weren't actually. You didn't actually work on those cases. So I don't know what this sounds like. I feel like I've played something like this before, but it's not come to mind. But I know you've played it, and you played it for one very specific reason, and I think you should tell people what that is.
Well, just before we get to that, what scares me about this game is its open world and all this thing. Does the fact that it's only 680 megabytes concern you? And now I know we live in the wonderful age of compression, but that seems really small for a game that is at least somewhat open world.
That does seem. I would have expected several gigs. It's only 600, and it's not even a gig.
No, no, not even a gig, like 680, 684 or something. Yeah. So
At that point, I would say it depends on what the graphic style they went with is, but that is concerning.
yes, that's what I thought as well. So we sort of sent guinea pig Zador, Patreon producer Zador, into the field. He was more than happy to play it. And look, I think he's quite enjoyed it. So I think we don't need to be worried. The graphics are not great, obviously, So, but I don't. That's not the reason you're playing it. It didn't look too blocky to me, but I'm not sure yet. But that's definitely something to consider. But look, the price is very cheap as well. So, it's not like you're paying, I think it's $10 Australian. So I'm not sure what it is on the US, hopefully
Oh,
under 10.
really?
Yeah, it's very cheap. So
Oh, I didn't think. I mean, I didn't think this would be a $60 game, but I had this pegged for probably 30, maybe 40.
no, I think it's got to be under 10 US, maybe 6 or 7. I assume if the stores aren't playing funny business between themselves again. But
Maybe
yeah,
I'll bump this up more on my list because I just assume I haven't looked at the store this week. I
no.
just assumed that it would have been kind of mid-range price.
No, no. So I think for that price, you can forgive it a lot. And I mean, the story, I suppose, is the premise, not the graphics anyway. So I haven't played any of the story, but Zador reached out this morning and he's finished all the cases now. I think he had a little trouble with two of them, just finding something, but he managed to do that. He told me that most of the cases run about an hour, but there's some cases that are very short, 20 minutes. I think he said one was 8 minutes. I'm not sure how that is, or whatever. But there's a series of cases, and you can replay them. He said, so there'll be no missables. But yes, you're right, Minnie. There is a bullshit trophy here. It's compulsory. There has to be one. That's how it works. And it's for a mini game, which looks to me like it has nothing to do with the game at all. It's basically a vertical runner, endless runner, if you like, that requires you to get a certain score. 1 million, I believe, Mindy, which is very easy. It's very easy. Anyone can do it if I can do it. It just takes a couple of goes, I think. But
CJ, you realize we're gonna lose Zador as a producer, right?
no, look, I have a feeling he's already got it and he's just baiting me now. And so that he can come out now that I've gone on the record. So I'm being very careful. You notice I haven't said it whether he has not got it at this point. But you can, if you're a completionist and you're worried about this trophy, when you first load into the game, the TV's there, you can do this trophy first before you do anything else. So if you didn't like it or whatever it concerned you, you wouldn't, I suppose, have to do the rest of the game on that account. So you can do it that way. It's not a trophy at the end.
I'm not liking this run of games that I'm interested in where they have these BS minigame trophies. Like what Metro was what was that game from a couple weeks ago? Where the entire platinum is just the smartphone minigame?
Oh, Mosaic. Yes. Yeah.
Mosaic, thank you.
But that wasn't hard. That was just a turbo controller. 12-hour experience, I think. Yeah. 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 I think the more spam games you play, the easier these sort of trophies are, though. Like, I think that game, that mini game could be a rata plat. That whole game, that mini game could be turned into a rata plat. Just put a few extra trophies in it. So if you've played things like Red Death, or if you've played the Super Destronaut, the original Destronaut game, any of those games, then you're sort of familiar, with this style. So I think you're okay with it. And of course it's random. So you may get it the second go, you may get it on the 10th go. It probably just depends which wave works best for you. But it's very quick. The load time is very quick. If you die, it just goes straight back in. So it's not so bad.
I think you're playing with fire, CJ. I think you make sweeping statements like that, and one of them's gonna bite you soon. I just know it.
If I didn't have the trophy, I wouldn't be able to say that, but I do. So I think it's fine. And I looked at the percentage before we started, and it's not the lowest percentage trophy in the game. So I think it's okay to say
Are
that.
you going to? Is that going to be the only trophy you've earned in the game, or are you going to earn others?
Well, there's one for running or scaring a pedestrian in the car. So that sounds like fun. I would like to try that as well. So, and there's one for playing the piano. And I had a quick look around in the opening room to see if the piano was there. I thought might as well get that trophy as well, but it's not. So the piano must be somewhere else. So I might have to do that. And probably the 8-minute case, because I'm fascinated to see how you solve a case in 8 minutes. But we'll find out. What do we got next? I'll do one. Let's see. I did write them down here, listeners. Oh, of course. So you've probably, Mindy. I hope you've seen a classic of the film genre, The Snakes on a Plane. Are you familiar with this? This should have been an Academy Award-winning film, but there was an oversight.
I have seen it, and I'll tell you what, Snakes on a Plane had a very, very catchy theme song, like catchier than it had any right to be. But I I was in England at the time when it came out. I believe that's when I was in England, and my flatmate like loved the music video for it, and she had it on all
Yes.
the time because it's so cheesy. But it's a guilty pleasure, that movie.
It's fantastic. I agree. And many of us, have been waiting. Many Snaky fans have been waiting for Snakes on a Train. But until we get that, we now have Snaky Bus, which has just come out of nowhere, Mindy. We talk about AAA games coming out of nowhere, but Snaky Bus really has come out of nowhere. I didn't even know this existed. And look, all you need to know, listeners, is that you need to get this game because you're a bus that just slowly multiplies. So you just get to become a longer and longer and longer bus until you become like a snaky bus. And you have to deliver people, but it's sort of like a racing game, if you like. So you drive around and there's like little highlighted areas. You don't have to stop. You just drive through it or whatever. So you're thinking, well, this is an easy plat. And of course, you'd be right. It should take around an hour or so. But what happens is, I was watching a video, Mindy, the bus gets so long that you're driving around this village that you have to you can actually trap yourself because it's just like crazy long. So you run out of sort of room and then you can actually sort of like jump over parts of the bus as it gets longer and you have to deliver so many people in this time. So yes, there are no snakes in it. Yes, there are no planes in it, but it's Snaky Bus, and that is enough. That is enough for me. That should be enough for you as well.
So will I see this platinum on your account next week?
Yes, definitely. I don't think it's out yet. I think it's up on the Xbox at the moment, but I don't know when it's going to be for PlayStation. Well, what day? So hopefully. There'll probably be a bullshit trophy in there, though. I don't know what it's going to be, but there will be, guaranteed. I mean, you're not going to get a game like Snaky Bus without one, but
Well,
we'll see.
that's okay for you because you just bragged that you're good at bullshit
Yeah,
trophies now.
yeah. I build up a high tolerance to it. That's what happens when you have 999 rat plats, Mindy. You become surprisingly skilled. No good at anything else, but surprisingly skilled in that genre. Bring on Foxyland 2. I'm ready. The Japanese stack. I think that's actually coming. Okay, do we have another one, Mindy? There.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw in the complex.
Hmm.
This is an FMV game. They're all terrible and I love them. But this is by the same company that did Late Shift and The Bunker.
Yes.
So Late Shift was the one about the jewel heist with all the pretty cars, and The Bunker is about the dude in the bunker.
Hmm.
Hence the name. This one is a sci-fi thriller. After a major bioweapon attack on London, because of course it's London, because it's a British company, two scientists find themselves in a locked down laboratory with time and air running out. Your actions and your relationship with other characters will lead you to one of 8 suspenseful endings.
Mm.
So I, of course, am gonna play this because it's an FMV game and I love them all. This is the company I believe so Late Shift in the Bunker. So this is the company that has a budget and like actors that you would recognize.
Yes.
Well, it's true.
Yeah.
So Late Shift had it wasn't the main guy, but it had a guy one of the main characters was in oh, what's it called? Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, I believe. He's got a lot of credits under his belt. He's in his like 60s.
Okay.
And yeah, a bunch of TV shows. Am I right about Mr. Norrell? Yes, I am. Haha. And then the bunker, I believe that guy was in The Hobbit. I don't know his name, so I'm just kind of frantically Googling right now.
I imagine he played background Hobbit number 7.
No, like he is an actual like
Oh, he was a main part.
yeah.
Okay.
And then this one has it looks like the main girl, or at least the girl who's on the cup like game poster is in a lot of TV shows, British TV shows. So that's pretty cool as opposed to the other one, the group that did Dr. Decker and Shapeshifting Detective. What's the new one they're doing that's the offshoot of Shapeshifting Detective?
Oh, yes, the Poe and Munro
Poe and Mon-
evenings with Poe and Munro.
right, those two like radio characters on the yeah,
Mm.
where it's they just recycled the same like it's a group of people and they do all their own stuff and they're all up in
Yeah,
each
that's
other's
cool, man.
projects.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this. And I'm sure I'll report back on it very soon after release. Don't quote me on that, but more than likely we'll be playing it relatively close to release.
So, listeners, while you're bored there sitting in your house wondering what you're going to do, this afternoon for the next hour, what I suggest you do is come to the PlayStation blog, load it up, go down to the complex here. It's got a lovely write up that Mindy has told us all about, so you don't need to read it. But now look at the picture. And I've been engaging in this now for 5 minutes, Mindy, and it's interesting. It's terrifying in a way. And get into a staring competition with this woman because there's something hypnotic about it. The eyes. I don't know, Mindy. If you look at this picture, you just find that you start staring and you can't stop staring at her. It's creepy.
I think you have a thing for women in white. Because it was before it was the Asian girls in the white sundresses, and this woman has a white like button-up shirt.
Mindy, that was a photography simulator. That was all above board. I don't know what you're talking about. But this is creepy. I'm closing the picture. It's creepy. And you can report back when you've played it. And
You do realize, CJ, she is a picture, so you will
I
lose
know,
that staring
but she
contest.
draws you in.
Like you do realize that, right?
I do. But look, people are looking for things to do, Mindy. They're trapped in their house, staring at a picture, playing a Horizon Zero Dawn. There are no good options here. It's a dreadful time, but you just have to do what you have to do. So,
I can't wait until I start Horizon Zero Dawn and have to force you to talk about it on the
well,
podcast. That's going to be fun.
I don't think that's ever going to happen because it's been out forever and you haven't played it. So, I think you're making the
CJ,
smart
I am
decision.
staring at my copy of the game right now. Do not tempt me.
Look, many people are staring at their copy of the game as they swing with their lifeless body from the noose as they tried, after playing it. Their head's just stuck in that position. But look, it's lovely on the shelf, Mindy. There's enough tragedy in the world at the moment. Leave it there. Don't expose yourself to more. Now, why don't we go across to some spam games for this week? So you're going to drop in that Meko business, I think you said. Mekorama.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, it's not the easiest. Like I said, it does require some effort and a little bit of skill, but
Mm.
it's still it's like 85% spam, I would say.
And what else have we got here? Now, I don't know if you've seen this game. I know nothing about it. This Brave Land trilogy. Now, no. Okay, no, no. I thought that might have been the Rata game, but unfortunately, I'm gonna retract that before I even put it out there. I think beat the game on hard difficulty. Definitely not.
This is weird to me. Deep One's got another stack.
Oh, now that was from a while ago.
Yeah, this was a I don't know if this is Ratalaika or sometimes you, and it only got a North American and European stack, and now
Yeah.
there's finally an Asian stack, but I got this platinum 2 years ago. So this is a very delayed stack.
Yeah. Only PS4, but I'm sure there'll be a Vita as well then for that. Oh no, it's up the top here, Vita as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
is this isn't the spammiest game, but it is a fairly easy platinum. There's two boss fights that are annoying, but there's ways to cheese them. I did write a trophy guide for this game, so you can check it out on PlayStation Trophies. It's cute. It's a love letter to like old Specky games, like ZX Spectrum games. So it's that obviously that graphic style. It's not bad. The translation is kind of fun because it's English is not their first language. Oh, this is Sometimes You. This is an early Sometimes You game that they put out.
Also, not a Metroidvania. So, many boxes ticked there.
Not a
Excellent.
Metroidvania.
Excellent.
No.
What
But I like, you know what I like,
yeah.
CJ? That you are the one who has referenced both things this week.
To be honest, when I said it's not a Metroidvania, I wasn't sure. I was waiting to see if you agreed or not. So I haven't played it, so I wasn't sure. But there we go. We got away with it. So we're safe.
No, but you're right. It's not a Metroidvania.
Oh, good. I hadn't played it, so I wasn't sure. Okay, good. I can throw out if you're looking for a VN on a budget, there is this Re-Idle. I believe it's like 100 yen, which is not much, like $1, I think, or something. And I haven't done it myself, but I believe it's like a 20-minute or 15 or 20-minute skip or something. So it's not a platinum.
I was going to ask if that was that Japanese game that's on your profile for this week, but I guess it's not.
No, I haven't done it yet. Joe's played this one, and he said it takes about 15 or 20 minutes. There's a save or something in there at some point, and it's very easy and very quick. But it's only 100% that one, not a plat. And then this Null Drifter. I'm going to go with this because someone has finished it in 18 minutes. So this is a good sign, I think. And actually, looking at the trophy list, this is a perfect sign because it's just collect some coins and it kill some people and reach level 6.
I have a
That
question
looks
for
manageable.
you.
Yeah.
I think I speculated last week that Dissection might be
Yeah.
a spammy, and I see that you've at least played it. But I watched a playthrough of it, and while it can theoretically be done in about 20 minutes, it sounds like it's not that easy.
Well, it's not easy for someone with no skill like myself, I can tell you. So I think these games need to start coming with a warning. I think like a Bethesda sign in the corner, don't attempt this. It's not like Doom, it's too hard for you or something. But look, I'm sure it's going to be 20 minutes for somebody the first time. And there's an awesome video walkthrough by ST. There's some amazing horror videos on her YouTube channel, and she does it in under 20 minutes. So it can definitely be done in under 20 minutes. It's 2 playthroughs, I believe. So that's to do with some of the collectibles you have to finish with. You can't finish with them all and finish the game, but it's basically the same each time, I think. But I got about 8 minutes through the guide, and it just gave me the shits because you just got to do things in a certain order, which is fine. But there's one of these like roaming NPC horror guys, and if he sees you, you're like dead. So you have to hide from him. So he is like on a loop. So if you study the loop and you play it, you'd figure out how to do it. So the video's done that, which is awesome. But the problem is you've got to be in sync with the video. So if you're too quick, the guy might be in a different spot, or vice versa if you're too slow. So for me, it was like, okay, we'll do like 30 seconds of the video and then move forward. And it was just too monotonous. But I think if you like ran it 6 or 7 times and you died, like you would build up a memory of the game. Maybe then is spam. But yeah, I don't know if that appeals to you, that sort of game, but it frustrated me.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of thought about that game, but then I looked at SC's guide as well, and I was like, maybe not.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that's apparently it is definitely getting an EU stack, Joe said the other day. So it might be a game where you do them both, one after the other, if you're going to do them. If you're going to bother to memorize the game, it would be dreadful to do it once and then do the next one like a couple of months later, I think, when you forget. But, it's up to you if you want to do it, I suppose. Anything else there?
I don't think so. I kind of was taking a look at this Mech Extermination Force, but I'm kind of scrolling through it, and it looks like maybe you do have to play the whole game. And there's a speedrun trophy. Maybe not.
This playing the whole game thing is overrated. If you can't show me the platinum in 5 minutes, what are you doing? Why can't you show me? Too much time. So we'll just put that to the side. So if there's nothing else, Mindy, shall we go to the Push to Plat Platinum Club shoutouts for this week?
Sure.
So it's been a busy week. Now, if you're listening there and you're like, well, I've earned some platinums. Why don't I get a shout out? Well, you can, you should. You've put the work in. So how you can, if you wish to, is you could join the PS4 community on the PlayStation. It's free, or you can jump into the Discord and there's a little section on the side. I have no idea how this happens, Mindy. These things just appear, and it's where you can put your platinum picture or your number and stuff like that. So either is acceptable to us. So, Mindy, there's a ton here. It looks like we're going to read a novel. Why don't we alternate? Would you like to take the first person or the second person, and we'll go from there?
Oh, let's see. Why don't you start?
Excellent, excellent. My plan worked well. So, Redbeard Rick, number 129, Dead Space 2, and DE. So that's German, isn't it? Is that correct? The DE stack? Uh, I assume that's
I
German.
believe so.
Look, I didn't even know there were two stacks of
Like
Dead Space.
like Deutsch.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. Yeah, I think so. I didn't even know there were two stacks, so that's awesome. Congratulations, sir. Dead Space 2.
Unless for some reason like Denmark got their own stack.
Mm. Mm. No, I think it must
You
be
know, DE for Denmark.
I wonder what the I assume it's not like the Wolfenstein games. I'm sure they didn't change anything in Dead Space for the German version. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't know. It would be interesting to know. But, number 131, Twin Breaker. Next time I want to play a mediocre Brick Breaker game, I'll play Bricks. So there you go. Obviously, not a fan of that game, but that's okay. It's okay. Now, Mindy, you're up.
I don't know. Were there? I meant to ask you. Were there boobies in Twin Breaker? Because Bricks had boobies.
No, no, it's a very above the board game. No nudity at all. Disappointing. Yes.
That's unfortunate. Let's see. How did you say the name earlier? Zuchi? What did we decide on?
Well, I don't know. I was just gonna say. Oh, now I've forgotten. Zuche. I'm gonna go with a
Zuche.
silent T for no reason, just because I am.
Bob.
Yeah.
Bob. Platinum number 29 is Infamous Second Son. Number 30 is Monster Hunter World. That's a big one. That's a very big one.
It's a massive one. Congratulations. And I'm pretty sure, Mindy, I read that he's actually done the same on the PC version as well. So I think he's done it twice. It's very impressive.
That's killer, man.
Yeah, yeah, must really love it. Then we have a Lawless Llama, number 130, the DOAs. Oh, Dead or Alive 5, last round. Congratulations. So I played a couple of the Dead or Alive games, but I've never tried this one, the 5. I know one of them is really, really grindy. I think there's a Dead or Alive 5, and then there's also a Dead or Alive 5 last round. But I don't know which one is which. But either way, that's fantastic. So well done, sir.
That's the thing about fighting games is like there's a numbered game and then there's like 12 spin-offs under that same number.
Yeah.
Like Street Fighter did that a lot. I don't know how much Dead or Alive does it though.
Oh, look, I think they do. And I mean, the great thing about the Dead or Alive games are they just have an obnoxious amount of DLC, swimwear DLC, and avatars you can buy, and costumes for the games. It's fantastic. But pretty sure that 5 is the one where there's just a ton of multiplayer online. And so it's the one where you just get two turbo controllers and two systems, and you just leave them to play each other online. So it's a very valid, way to do it. It's a great trophy, isn't it? But I think the Dead or Alive 5 is actually the last round is more enjoyable because you don't have to do that sort of garbage. But, anyway, it's one
Nice.
or the other. Hmm.
Let's see. Boss 10 George. That's a big one. Number 165 Star Ocean 3. Preceded by his 8,000th milestone trophy, aptly named Elite Trophy Collector.
Congratulations, sir.
Was he working when he came on the show? Had he started Star Ocean 3? Like, had he just started it?
I think he was doing 4 at the time. Still, that was the really big one that he was trying to finish. So he must have started this. But look, these games are massive, Mindy, for normal gamers like ourselves. But for George, these are just like an afternoon, maybe 2 days. And he seems to just burn through these. So
These are his spam games.
yeah, I know. I read somewhere that he's like only the second person to have finished. I don't know if he's finished all of them or whatever he said. The certain number of them. So that's fantastic. That's a fantastic
Yeah,
use
it
of
was
time.
he was in like an unofficial competition with I think like a Japanese guy
Hmm.
to be the first person to do all of them or something like that.
Hmm. 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 Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not tempted to play one yet, but it's great that he is. Mindy, are you about to start one?
No.
No, no. Okay, we'll just put that next to Death Stranding and Horizon Zero Dawn there for
But
you.
that could be the next Patreon suggested platinum for you.
Well, look, let's not tempt fate. There's so much excitement already to be had before we get there. Next, we have EDJ 3DG, a Sniper Elite V2 remastered, slowly but surely beefing up the plat count. So that's a pretty substantial game. That one as well. That's not a spam title by any
No,
stretch.
not at all.
I'm always impressed these Sniper Elites because they have to do it on this authentic difficulty. It's very tricky, very tricky. So that's impressive. Impressive, sir.
Let's see. Easty, number 635, Dreams. Some awesome and very fun stuff created by players, but reaching level 30 takes an eternity.
You know what I like about Easty at the moment, Mindy? He's playing Final Fantasy 12, and it's slowed him down because there's been no plat pitcher in a couple of days, which makes me happy because I was like,
No.
I wonder how quickly he'll do it, like a day, 2 days, 3 days. But it's
Are we sure he's still with
well, I
us?
hope so. I hope so.
Because if we haven't gotten a plat picture from Easty in a couple of days, like that's when you do a wellness
Yeah,
check.
yeah. It takes about 80 hours, well, but maybe less for someone of his skill. And so I think 80 hours of real time have to pass first before he can get the plat. So hopefully, maybe that's the situation. Maybe it's just a time thing. He'll have it in the next day or so. We'll see. We'll see. Then who we got? Teresa, congratulations, number 600. It's a massive one, and it's a fantastic title. Is it wrong to try pick up girls in a dungeon? Infinite combat. This is based on an anime.
That's a great
It's
title.
fantastic, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah,
title.
based on an anime. I was really tempted to try this because, I'm going through this period of playing garbage anime sort of games, inspired games. And, the animes are not garbage, but often the games are garbage that go with them. They're really not, they don't live up to it. But I asked her, was this particularly any good? Because at the moment, it's not available in the West. You either have to import it or, get it through an Asian store. But I believe she said there that the Asian store it is possible to play it in English, so it is multi-language if that does interest you. But apparently it's not great. It's okay, but it's nothing special. It is what it is.
I think you have to do the next two.
Oh, you don't want to shout out yourself?
I
So
don't.
number 606. Congratulations, Mindy. Lego DC Villains, the Japanese stack. We talked about today, and then Ulcera. We don't know the number for this one, Ulcera, because you didn't type it in. But this is the now. I also don't remember the name, but it's the Toilets Unicorn game. And congratulations, because I know you spent some time on this one, sir, and you said that it was a little bit bullshit, which we come to expect in these sort of games. Apparently, Mindy, this is like you only have a one hit sort of situation, so you've got to get through all the world. But if you die in it, then you got to go back to the start, and there's
Oh,
multiple worlds.
boo.
Yeah, which is a shame because the game looks like he was telling me about it, and it sounds really funny. Like it's really off the wall. It makes jokes of so many different things, IGN, and different people. And so it's supposed to be like that side's funny, but the gameplay itself is not. It's not that funny. And then I saw that Reddy, previous guest Reddy, also finished it. So I asked him about it, and he went into like this really technical reason why it's not good with the analog sticks drifting or going slow, and there's a lot of text and to be honest, it was a bit much for me. And the general principle was that he didn't think it was great either. So yeah, I don't know, but the
That's such
name
a
is great.
shame because it has such an amazing trophy list. Like they
Yeah,
had fun. They had fun with that list.
yeah. Well, it's obviously doable. Like I know Olcero stuck at it and he did it, so it's doable. It's just maybe frustrating. He said particularly the last world was very frustrating. So I'm not sure. Okay, well you can do the next two then. We'll trade back.
Well, I forgot about Ulcera. The next one is giving me a shout out too, which is why I thought you should read it.
Oh, is it? What's the next one? I missed it. I got Ed the Shed as the next one.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
and he gives
So
me a shout out for
oh,
it.
sorry. Yes, I thought, oh, this is your alternate account, Ed the Shed. Excellent. No, it's not. Of course not. Ed the Shed 2014, which is a fantastic name. Plat number 75, the Day of the Tentacle. Just wanted to give a big thanks to Mindy, as I would never have 100%ed this game without your guide. Well, to be honest, I don't think anyone would have. So I agree there. Congratulations, Mindy.
Oh, I meant to say this at the top of the show just as a kind of jumping off. We talk about random stuff for 10 minutes before the
Hmm.
podcast. I posted it in the Discord like 2 weeks ago. Someone had made some company that makes kind of like geek wear that's based out of, I think, Germany. So apparently I got to move to Germany. But
Of course.
because that's where the horses are, it's where the adventure game market is still
Yeah.
thriving. Like it sounds like I was just born in the wrong country.
Mm, mm.
But um this company made a basically like a Snuggie. You know Snuggie?
Well, no, I
The
don't.
like the
What's a Snuggie?
what would they call 'em? Like a wearable blanket, like a blanket with sleeves.
Oh, like a moo. Yes, I know that. Yeah.
No, a muumuu is like a dress, like a tarp dress. I mean,
Oh,
maybe that's what you call them in Australia. No,
yes.
it's a snuggie or a slanket, I think is the other name, like the other
Ah,
brand name.
I'm sure they were in an episode of The Simpsons. I've seen these things before.
Oh, I'm sure. But like it's just a blanket with sleeves basically. So, you can sit on the couch in it with it wrapped all around you and you're not hiding your arms under the blanket. You know what I mean? So you can still do stuff and your arms and hands are still warm.
Do you know what I like about that? That just, you just need one of these, what do you call them, Snuggies? Snuggies and a glass of white wine sitting on the couch at 11 o'clock during the day. And it just shows you've totally just given up. I love that. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
Oh
can't
yeah.
wait for that time.
Oh, trust me, this when the Snuggie first emerged on the market, like they were mocked incessantly.
Yes.
But and I was like, "Oh, I'm never gonna get one of those. I'm fine with the blanket." And then this geek company made a Snuggie, slanket, whatever you want to call it, shaped like purple tentacle from Day of the Tentacle.
Yes. Oh,
And I was like, "Damn it. You have found a Snuggie I would actually buy." So I bought it. And it took 2 weeks because Amazon, is having shipping problems, which is fine. I don't need it right now. But I did in fact buy it, and it came in uh today actually. So I haven't opened it yet, but I would post a picture of it, but that'd be a weird picture to take, I think.
I challenge any other PlayStation, look, any other gaming podcast to this week manage to get in and link the Snuggie, into their podcast. I think that's fantastic. I was wondering how that was going to come back to the topic, but now I get it. That's great. Push to Plat, your Snuggie wearing podcast. If anyone who makes Snuggies would like to sponsor us, that is, we would look at that seriously. But let's move on.
We're on the high end of fashion, man.
Yeah, well, that's perfect gamer attire, though. So they should be reaching out to gamers, I think.
They should. You're right. Let's do Zador. Number 458, Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. One of the best Star Wars games to this day. Trophy list is tougher than I assume he means Outcast.
Oh, yes, I think so.
Since cheats disable trophies and multiplayer mode also has trophies, so that's a hard pass for me. A real spooky 5U? Isn't it 4U? Did you typo, CJ? You may have typoed. Finding decent people was awful, but finally got Destiny 2 Platinum done. Onwards to 100%. Well done.
Congratulations. I assume that's another game neither of us will ever play, but that's another massive game, too. Well done. Right.
That is correct on both accounts.
Yes, yes, yes. Well done. And then we bring up to the end today with Lux, the wonderful Italian gamer, and of course our thoughts continue to go out to you at this time. In Italy especially. And now, Mindi, this is a crazy game. I'm led to believe this is Platinum 1,190. So, Lux, it's unusual for me to say numbers over 1,000, but it's nice to finally have someone else here that's there. It's about time. In fact, you've got too many. You've got more than me. So what we need to do is slow you down, if possible, as soon as possible, too. Give me a year, I can get there, and then you can continue. But anyway, this game, Mindi, for 1,190, Carnival Island on PS3, after 7 years and 11 months. Are you familiar with this game at all?
No. I mean, I've seen it like on shelves, but that's about it.
Well, she says that apparently some of the challenges are like crazy, crazy difficult. And I was looking, and the plat percentage is very, very low, like in the 0 point something percentile, and not many people have it. So obviously that's a really tough plat, and that's congratulations. And I believe Lux is a completionist as well. So that's probably been worrying her for 7 years and 11 months. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, she's in the club.
Yes, yes. Your membership has been renewed for this year because of Carnival Island. Congratulations. Start working on your next one though, because we're not waiting 7 years and 11 months. I like it. I like it. That's fantastic. That's a lot. So as we said, if you'd like to get a shout out, please do. Please do. Drop it in the Discord or on the PlayStation 4 community app. There was quite a lot there this week, Mindy.
I feel like there's more last week, but yeah, it is a lot. I'm glad that more people are posting their stuff.
Yes, yeah. I think a lot of people are doing a lot of gaming at the moment, which is great. So, Mindy, we're gonna have to wrap it up here because we have a pressing engagement coming up in a moment that we really need to pull our full attention to on. I feel because it definitely deserves that. And
We do. It's gonna be fun.
It is going to be fun. And what we're alluding to here, listeners, if you're wondering whether I've just lost it completely, which is always a possibility, we're just about to lay down our Push to Plat After Dark episode here for our patron listeners. So if that content does interest you, and if you want to support us, you definitely can jump onto Patreon there, and for the $10 and above tier, that is made available to you. And it's a bit of a we won't give it away yet, Mindy, what it is. We'll let them wait because I'm not sure which one's coming out first, but we'll let them wait. So until then, Mindy, if they're trying to find you, the listeners, how can they do that?
Twitter @themindisacity. I also have a Coffee page, ko-fi.com/themindisacity.
Perfect. And if you're looking for the show, obviously it's on all good podcast providers. You can reach out to us on Twitter at push2plat, push2plat, or at Gmail at push2plat.com. The Discord link will be in the show notes as well. So once again, I'd like to thank Zador, VP, Sprunky, and Scottish Noob for their patronage as Patreon producers of the show. We couldn't do this without you. I really appreciate it, as does Mindy and Joe, and we look forward to welcoming a new Patreon producer as the month ticks over into the next month as well. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Continue earning those trophies. Continue smiling. We'll talk again soon. Bye.